This week on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Everybody jumped on me. And I felt like I was on an island by myself. I can't be friends with people like that. I don't trust them. And they obviously don't like me.
I don't get it.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Join me to once again recap The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14. This was the conclusion to the reunion, Part 3. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we begin the third part with Dorit versus Sutton. Now, I will say, Dorit came in activated this reunion. Like, she came in with the goal of keeping her foot on Sutton's neck. Because she was activated. She says to Sutton that, like, she needs to know about true love and she needs to know about true friendships, because what she does is that she tries to buy people with gifts. Sutton's, like, pretty quiet, but this is where she starts to, sort of respond a little bit more. And she's like, who have I tried to buy, honey? And then Dorit is saying in a very, like, mocking tone, oh, here she comes. Gentilly then jumps in and she says that Sutton doesn't really do that. Like, she doesn't buy people. Kathy Hilton jokes that she thinks Sutton's quite frugal, actually. Then they move on to talk about Dorit's 4th of July party, where Garcelle accused Boz of being Dorit's spokesperson. Garcelle says that what she didn't like was that Boz tried to just go in there, but didn't try and see what was actually going on before she got there. So Boz says, you're acting like there needed to be an investigation to figure out what was happening. I knew Sutton wanted to leave, so she should have just left. Sutton says, well, I wasn't asking anyone to come, see me or whatever. And Boz says, oh, I know. And when you called me essentially an angry black woman on the after show, you said that you didn't know why I was so angry. I wasn't. Sutton's like, well, I don't remember saying that. And Boz says, you did. And Garcelle, you didn't even pick up on it. And she did say it. Sutton absolutely did say it. I remember when I saw it thinking, I was like, oh, she just said that? Because, Boz wasn't angry. You can say, okay, yeah, maybe she didn't have the facts, or she was going into something that wasn't her business. But to say she was angry, I didn't feel like she was angry coming at Sutton. But, Sutton says, well, you were yelling at me. And Boz says, don't say I was yelling. None of y'all have ever heard me yell. Sutton says, well, I should say that you came in strong. Boz says, I am strong. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to know what was going on. Andy then talks about the alcohol joke that Dorit made. Boz says that she herself has told Dorit that was definitely a dig. It was an intentional joke, quote unquote. Sutton says yes. And also, keep in mind, this has been like 2 years in the making. But y'all, I'm telling y'all, Dorit was like on level 1000. Like, she was just coming hard. She was trying to come down on Sutton. So they talk about Dorit agreeing with a fan on Instagram who had said that Sutton's mood changes because Sutton's drunk. And Dorit replied to that comment and said #facts. So Dorit is saying to Sutton, it's funny, Sutton, because this narrative that I have supposedly been perpetuating actually started with you. Do you not remember saying that you start every morning with a drink and that it actually makes you nicer? Sutton says, I said that during COVID. That's different. And it's also very different when I talk about something that has to do with me versus you talking about it. Dorit says, if I wanted to point out that you were an alcoholic, I could have done much more and said much more than what I've said. And he's like, is that a threat? Is that a promise? And Dorit's like, no, neither necessarily. Andy then brings up an interview that Sutton did with Lisa Barlow, where Lisa called Dorit pretty, and Sutton said, well, Dorit is pretty because she's had so much work done. And then Dorit on social media responded by saying, well, why hasn't Sutton had any work done? So Sutton says, that was very low of you. And Dorit says, that's what's going to happen from now on, Sutton. When you hit me, I'm going to hit harder. And everyone's like, okay, now that's a promise. Then they talk about Erika Jayne's comment about Sutton kicking women when they're in their lowest. They ask Gentilly about this. Jennifer says that Sutton is like not trying to kick anyone when they're down, but she does understand that Sutton asks questions in this group and that maybe it seems like she's not being empathetic. Erika says, yeah, like sometimes those questions hurt. Sutton says, am I the only one who asked you questions, Erika? Did Kyle and Dorit not laugh about your situation? And Erika says, well, we're not talking about that right now. And I've already cussed them out. Sutton says, but we've already talked about what happened that year between you and I. Like, I've apologized. Why can't you just move on? Erika says that she's talking about the intent of what Sutton has when she's asking her questions, and that Sutton's intent is to humiliate them. There's a question that says Sutton throws temper tantrums when she's like being called out. What is Garcel's reaction to that? Garcelle says, I would say sometimes it seems like that. Sure. It depends who pushes our buttons. We all have our limits. I'm really pissed right now about all of it since I've sat here. So I don't want to answer any more questions. Jennifer says, like, what's wrong? Do you think people are piling on Sutton right now? And Garcelle says, I'm not thinking about Sutton. I'm thinking about me. Sutton then says to Erika, I guess you don't like me and don't want to be my friend. Erika says, no, I've never said that. I do enjoy the sweet side of you, but when I see the opposite, then I just don't like it. Sutton then admits that she can do better. In her reactions, she also agrees that she has gone low with Dorit. So they didn't fully make up, but it's something. It's a step forward. Before wrapping up this segment, Andy asks Garcelle, like, why are you pissed? Garcelle says, I'm pissed by all of it. And Andy asks, like, what is all of it? Garcelle says, I don't think I've ever gotten any grace in this group. I haven't felt it. I stand by what I say, but when I take accountability for it, it isn't accepted. Not one person has looked at me today and smiled. Kyle says, well, maybe it's because we're all stressed. And Garcelle says, I'm telling you how I feel. I'm just telling you how I feel. Kyle says, were you smiling and people didn't smile back? Like, what's going on? Garcelle says, yeah, but it's okay. So then they take a short break, and then the next segment that they take a look at is just like a compilation of scenes where the women were like, having their little flirty moments, since all of them are single. Everyone in the main cast is single. Well, except Bose, but I should say none of them are married. Oh, well, some of them are married, but they're not divorced. Y'all get what I mean. So they take a look at that. Those were some fun scenes. Dorit says that she has thought about dating. She isn't dating, but she's thought about it. They talk about Garcelle's roster from back in the day, how she had so many really famous guys, but she says that she hasn't really had any of that lately. Andy asks Bose who's the most famous person who has ever hit on her. He also asks Jennifer, but they didn't really say. Andy asks Kyle if she's gotten any DMs after taking off the word wife off her Instagram, and she says, yeah, for men and women. Andy then asks, who do y'all think of the single ladies, who do y'all think is going to get married again first? And they all say Kyle. Erika is very happy that she got to do Chicago again. It felt like unfinished business to go back on Broadway. Andy says that it was super random and interesting to see her son testify in the A$AP Rocky case. Erika has always been super private with her son, even though him testifying was pretty public. She's glad that it wasn't related to this show. She says that she sees him all the time and she's gotten closer with him after the whole Tom scandal. And yeah, it's really impressive how private she's kept him from the show. They talk about some of the scenes that Erika had with her therapist and how she didn't have a pizza party, but it's because when she was going through her divorce, she wasn't exhibiting pizza party behavior. And Erika says that these ladies have seen her handle the divorce in a very vicious way, but she's trying to be different. Andy asks why hasn't she divorced Tom yet, and Erika says that was really the last thing she was thinking of when she had all her problems, all that legal stuff. Tom was found guilty, and apparently his lawyers are asking for him to be put in a facility rather than prison. So Andy asks Erika if she's ever thought of going to see him. Erika says that she'll probably see him again or try to go see him after he dies. It would be too much for her to go see him now, and it's not like she would get any straight answers, so that makes sense. There was a question that asked, now that Tom's been found guilty, can Erica finally admit that he was guilty? And she says, well, that's what the law determined. Oh, come on, Erica. You could have just said, yes, he was guilty. He scammed people and it was wrong. Like, you could have just said it. Next storyline they take a look at is Sutton's trip to Augusta, where she went to go visit her mom, Reba. It was definitely a very emotional trip and very real. Like, that was some real life stuff. So they take a look at that. Sutton says that the trip was very special. It was closure. Being able to be in her old house. She says that she never realized it, but she needed to forgive her dad. And she did, because he left them. Andy asks if Reba has seen the episodes, and Sutton says that they haven't discussed it yet, but she will go this month to her mom's house, so they'll talk about it. Garcelle says that she was a little scared talking to Reba, but she saw that deep down Reba was really sweet. Andy asks if Kyle and Kathy see any similarities with Reba and their mom, and they say not really. Their mom was very cuddly. Erika, though, she can relate because she says that her grandmother was like, it felt like her grandmother had been resurrected when she saw Reba, because they have a very similar upbringing. Sutton says that she's been able to see things now from her mom's perspective as well, of like things that happened during her childhood, and she realizes that her mom probably knows more stuff and there's more to the story, different side. Sutton says that she recognizes as well that a lot of her issues, she still needs to work on them. And it's been great for her to forgive her parents, and hopefully that'll soften her, because she would like to be just better and a better friend as well. Andy takes a few seconds to send a message to Teddy Mellencamp, who shared that she has cancer, so Kyle gives an update on what's going with that, and Erika and Boz reached out. The next package they take a look at is the Kyle and Mauricio drama. And Kyle drops her crystal for like the 5th time. So after taking a look at those scenes, Kyle says that she and Mauricio still talk, but they just don't talk about their relationship. Kyle then starts to cry and says that she feels sad to think of the good times of their marriage. Like, it almost feels like a loss. Andy asks Kathy if she'd like to see them reconcile, and she says yes, and she starts to cry. She says that she just doesn't like things to change. Andy asks Kyle if she has any regrets of, separating. Kyle says that she has regrets of what happened to get to the point where they needed to get separated. Jennifer asks Kyle, do you think he regrets it, or do you think he wants to get back together? Kyle says, I know he does regret the things that happened that led to this, but he's never told me that he wants to get back together, so I don't know. Kyle is crying and says that a lot of things changed in their lives. They were on TV, the agency grew, traveling, all this stuff. And he asks her if it hurts to see him party all the time. And she says no, it just makes her see why they're not back together right now. I gotta say, Mauricio looks like a weirdo at his big ass age, getting drunk and shirtless, and I don't know, that's just not my thing, I guess. Andy asks if she sees Kyle, if she's considered leaving the house, and she actually almost bought a house across from Lisa Vanderpump's, and Andy's like, please buy it, but she's gonna wait until her youngest daughter leaves. Then they talk about, in one of the episodes, when Sutton had said there was infidelity between Kyle and Mauricio, because Andy mentions that at the reunion last year, Kyle herself kind of hinted to there being an infidelity, so he doesn't understand why Kyle was acting a little obtuse when Sutton brought it up. Kyle says, well, I have to think about my daughters, and I still care about him. I don't like when people talk bad about him, so I can't just talk about everything. They talk about the airport picture. Did Kyle know he was seeing anyone? And Kyle said that she assumed, but before he moved out, she used to see all of his messages. Apparently she had a way, but she doesn't want to say how. Andy asks what emotions does she feel when she sees Mauricio with other women, and she says that she doesn't feel sad or mad or even jealous. It just feels like she's seeing a different person. Andy then also asks about Kyle questioning her sexuality, and Kathy couldn't stop laughing about this. Kyle says, I've always had a type, I've never questioned anything. It wasn't until afterwards when people started to say things and allude to the things of, the music video that I did and all this stuff that I was kind of confused, and the press was talking about it so much that I needed to talk and address it with my daughters. And the daughters were apparently very supportive. Kathy says that she also talked to her daughters because she wanted to make Kyle feel better. Kyle got a little mad though. She was like, let me talk. Damn, okay. But she says that her daughter hugged her, blah, blah, blah. I don't really get it and I don't really care. Why are we talking about this? And then it is finally time to wrap up. Andy wants all the ladies to know what was the thing that surprised you the most, or like what was the most unexpected thing of the season. So Jennifer says that it was really interesting to see how much footage they get versus how little of it is actually aired on the episodes. Kathy says that she's had a great time and she loves the new additions. Erika says she feels good. Bose is surprised by everything, like she sees there's a lot of depth of emotion and how much they all care about each other. Dorit says that she found a friend for life when it comes to Bose. Garcelle says, I guess seeing more of Sutton and her mom. Sutton says that for her it was nice that her and Erika are getting along and having fun moments, and she hopes that they will continue. And then finally Kyle says that she didn't recognize some of her behavior and some of the way she reacted, but she feels stronger. So then they take drinks for the women like they usually do. They had the watermelon drinks that Dorit had at her party. Gentili gives a toast about there being a lot of different types of chips, but the best chips are friendships. And that was it. Andy says good night, and that was a wrap. Andy says, okay guys, we are gonna finally get a cast picture because they haven't had one for like the past 3 seasons. But Garcelle says, no, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I don't want to be in the photo. Dorit says, Garcelle, that's very unprofessional. And Garcelle walks out. And it's funny though because before the reunion began, it was Garcelle who wanted there to be a cast photo. And then the cameras follow her to her dressing room, and Garcelle says, no, I don't want cameras. Like, I'm a team player, but I don't want cameras right now. The women are all like, what is going on? Like, we don't get it. And especially Kyle. Actually, all of them really had a lot to say. They were like it's child's play what she went through compared to what we've been through. So then we go back to see Garcelle, and she says that they're all effing assholes. And the bottom line is that she's really upset about them calling her out about the robbery comment. She says that she felt like they all came at her and that she felt like she was on an island by herself. And she essentially quits the show. The others stay and they take their cast picture, but that was it. And then afterwards, Sutton goes to look for Garcelle, but she had already left. Wow. That was a lot. So, I mean, I feel like the way the way they teased it, it almost felt like Garcelle was going to like actually walk out of the reunion, but no, I applaud her for actually staying till the very end. So Dorit saying it's unprofessional, it's not unprofessional. She actually stayed the whole thing. Now, let me say this about Garcelle. Personally, I love Garcelle. I really liked her when she was on The Real, and I really enjoyed her on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I enjoyed her humor. I think I like connect with that type of her humor, her ability to just be real, and I don't know. I feel like if I knew her in real life, I feel like I would be friends with her. And I definitely applaud her for, getting to where she's at. Like she is a self-made woman. But now here's the what I will say about her on Housewives. I think this was the right move for her. I think she's been on the show for 5 seasons. It's been a good run. I am glad that she herself saw and on her terms said, I'm walking out of this. Because at the end of the day, like, if we're going to keep it real, there was going to come a time where she was going to get ganged up on. That's what happens in every single one of these reality shows. There's never been a housewife who's been on the show for a long time who hasn't had a time on the hot seat. So I don't know if Garcelle thought that she would be exempt from it, but it was her turn this reunion, and I guess she didn't like it. So she walked away from it, and I don't blame her. I mean, if you don't like where you're at, then you leave. But again, I feel like a true housewife, like, we've seen housewives, like, be ganged up on. I mean, we've seen, those early seasons with Kenya Moore, with Karen Huger, Wendy Osefo. Shannon Bedore. I mean, these are all housewives who have had to take it, and they've sat there and they've taken it. And Garcel's just not like that, and that is okay. You know, that's just not who the type of person that she is. So that's what I'm saying. I think it was like a good thing that she gracefully exited the show. But you guys, please let me know what your thoughts about it were. What are your thoughts about Garcelle leaving? Are you gonna miss her? What are your thoughts? Please let me know. Thank you guys for a great season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's been great covering every single episode, and I really appreciate each and every single one of y'all. Until the next one, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys. Have a great one. Bye.